So very good morning. It's 1:30 in the morning. We've been out shooting our footage of the stars for the last hour and 40 minutes. So in part two of this video, I'm going to show you how we set it up on the computer and do our editing to get our star trail and time lapses out. So I will see you in the morning. Very good morning. Welcome back to part two of my beginner's guide to capturing time-lapse night photography and star trails. Now today I'm going to take the footage that we shot last night and we're going to take you through the whole process to get end results. Now if you missed part one of the video, you can check it out here. I talk about setting up the camera, the bits of kit that make life easier, and also how to find that polar star, which is important for the star trail footage. So if you haven't seen it, go and check it out and then come back and watch this video. Now I've shot both in JPEG and RAW. You can configure your camera to do this if needed. Now the reason I do it this way is I like to take the RAW images into Lightroom and adjust them before exporting them out as JPEGs as well. So you've got the option of both basically there, or you can use the original JPEGs as well. Now I shot 310 images last night, which is around about an hour and 40 minutes, each one of about 20 seconds on that. The reason I shoot individual shots rather than one continuous exposure for two reasons. The first one is I want to create a time-lapse movie, so each image is going to be put into an individual frame for the movie. Also, if you end up getting a corrupt file due to flashing a torch or a car coming past, anything like that, that might interrupt the footage. With individual shots, you can take that particular shot out and you've still got some good footage to work with. With an individual shot, you could have ended up with a ruined shot and a wasted hour and 40 minutes worth of footage on there. So just something to consider. So we're going to dive over now to the computer. We're going to start by taking the RAW files and the JPEGs and put them into a directory, and then we'll work through processing the RAW files first, and then we'll look at downloading the app for the star trails and also building up the time lapse at the end. So let's get going. So over here in File Explorer on the PC, I've created a folder called JPEGs, which I've copied from the SD card all the JPEG files into this directory. And then what I've done is I've gone over to Lightroom and I've imported all of the RAW files into a folder ready for processing. Now to make this easier, there's a little option called auto sync in Lightroom. So what we do is we come down and we select the first image, hold the shift key down, and we go all the way to the end to the last image, and then we just make sure that this auto sync button is selected. So what this means is that any change we make to the first image will be replicated all the way through. As you can see, I've made some changes to this already. I've got shadows, white clipping, dark tones. Basically I've darkened the sky down, made the stars a little bit more brighter so they pop a little bit. But any change that I make, for instance here, if I add the highlights, you can see that it has been changed for every single image in there, which is what we need to do. So just reset that back. Okay, so once that's done, we're going to come up to the file and we're going to export, and then we're going to select the new folder that we've got under the desktop, night shots, raw JPEGs. We'll select that, and these are just basically the settings that I've got, and then if we hit export, that's going to export each one of those images out to that directory, and as you can see they're being processed. So coming back, we've now got two directories, one with the original RAW files in, or original JPEGs in, sorry, and one with the raw JPEGs, which are the RAWs converted to JPEGs on there. So we've got the two options there for working with. So once that's processed, we'll move on to the next step of looking at downloading the software. Okay, so now we're going to get on to downloading the software. So the first thing we'll do is download Starstacks, which is a program that we can use to create our star trails. So we're going to head over to Google and we're going to pop in Starstacks and search on that, and it comes up here, Starstacks by Marcus and Whaler, if you pronounce it that way. So we're going to click on there, and then it says download installation. You've got the option for Macs or Windows 32 and 62-bit, and then by clicking on the zip file there, it's going to download that software. So I've already done that, so I've created a software folder down here. If we click on that, we can see that it's brought down the zip file on there. So we right click and just do extract all, and just going to put that back into this folder. Select folder, extract it. Now this won't create a separate folder like a normal Windows or Mac, so you're going to have to come into the folder like so, and then come into Starstacks, and then all the way at the bottom here you have the option here which is the Starstacks application. Now you can obviously right click and pin that to the desktop if you need to, or if you're only using it once in a while, then just click Starstacks, and that's going to then run that program up on there. Okay, so once we've got Starstacks open, we can now go and grab our images and drag them in to this point here, or you can come up and do File, Open Images, and we're going to pick Desktop, where I've got mine, Night Shots, and then we're going to go for the raw JPEGs file, which is JPEGs that I've modified, and then effectively we're going to select all by Shift or Control A, we'll select all of those, and then we're just going to open. So you can see then that it's actually put all the images inside the program. Now over on the right here we've got a few images, the options that we can apply to them. So we've got blending, gap filling, darken, add, subtract. Now there's a little help menu on here that will teach you through, but basically leave it on gap filling. If you want comment mode, which is basically it trails off the stars as they go. So if I show you an image up here, this is basically what that is. If you leave comment mode off, you'll get this effect that I'm going to post on the screen now. So we're going to leave it off for the moment. You've got the option next to process images in reverse order, subtract dark images, and then save after each step. What the save after each step does is it will create the same amount of images again, but it will add each image will have its star track added to the next one, and so on and so on. So if you wanted to do a time lapse of the actual effect taking place, then this will, I'll show you a quick video above, and that will probably explain it a little bit better. So it just gives you more effects to do on there. Under images, we're just going to leave everything on there as normal, and then under general, don't think anything else. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So we can leave that there, and then if we come up to the icon here with the blue which says start processing, click that, and then it says at the bottom here blending, gap filling, so it's going to go off now, and as you can see it's starting to create the image as it goes around. So we're going to let that whiz away, and we'll come back when it's finished. Okay, so that's now done. The images have been processed down on the left. This is basically what the software has created for us. So it's created a full star track in this case. Now if you do comments, it's going to be slightly different effects, and there's lots of different effects you can play around with actually inside the program itself, so worth having a little play around with it, as I say. So now we've got that, we're going to come up to the save button up the top left. We're going to come back to our night shot folder and just save that image. That's now saved, and then what I'd advise to do is just open it up into Lightroom or even Photoshop if you feel that's better, and then just make any other tweaks to it before you finally export that out for your final image. Now if we want to go back and rerun this, we can do. We can come back up to the Settings tab, and then we can go to Images, Blending, and this time if we hit the comment mode, just so you can see the difference on them, and again we'll hit the process button up here, and that's going to go away, and as you can see we'll start to create that effect once more. So we'll come back at the end of that and just see what it's done, and then we'll save that image as well. Okay, it's just coming up to the last couple of images now as it processes them down on the bottom here, and as you can see it's created quite a different look on there. So they call this the comet, so basically the tails are fading out as it goes round, so it gives quite a nice interesting effect on there. So there we're done, blending's done, and once again we can then save that back to the desktop night shots. Just call it, so let's call that one, call this one comet. That's me do it. And then so that's now saved. We can go back into and edit that in Lightroom and just finesse it a little bit if needed to. Now the last one I'll show you on here, if we come back to the settings and we come back to process, find it under images, blending, save after each step. So we're going to this time click that. It gives you the option then to change the image name and start at 0, reverse numbering, we can say that, and then we're just going to select the output folder. In this case I've created one called Start Trail Timelapse, so I'm just going to collect that, select it, and once that's all done we'll hit the start processing again. So what this is going to do, every time it goes through one image it's going to add the effect and then save it. So when we look back through the images we'll see step by step as the actual increases. So we can then put those into our time lapse and it will actually see as we run the time lapse the actual spiral star effect actually taking place on there. So we'll let this run and then we'll move on to afterwards looking at the time lapse side of this video. So that's the last couple of images just processing now. Once that's done we'll head over to the actual folder itself. I'll show you how each image has been built up, and then we will look at downloading the software to do the time lapse. Okay, blending's done, so that's done 320 images. Now this time we don't need to save that because it's already saved it out to the folder itself. Come back now to the desktop and look at under the folder Star Trail Timelapse. We can see here all the images that it's created, and if we look at image number 1, you can see there's nothing on it, and then as we go through it will add the process of each image on top of the next image and so on. So when we run this in the time lapse we'll actually see this star trail taking place in almost real time, which would be quite a cool effect on there. Okay, so let's head over now to Google and let's look at the software that we're going to use to download, create the star time lapses. So as I mentioned, the last thing we're going to have a look at is the time lapse video and how we export it and build it up. Now this is quite a simple technique. So what you're going to need is a video editing software. Now Adobe do one, I will stick to Davinci Resolve. There's a free version that you can download and you get a real lot of features for it. Probably about 80% I think, don't quote me on that, but you get majority of features on there to actually use and build up your videos. And creating time lapse is very simple. We're just going to drag that in. So I'm going to show you very quickly on how to download it and how to set up a project, and also how we basically drag that in and export it out to a video. So let's have a quick look at that. So we're going to come over to Google, and in the search bar we're going to put in Davinci Resolve download and search on that. Click on the black magic, and then you've got the option here to download for Windows, Mac OS, etc. I'm not going to go through the full download. You can run it as you need to. And then basically once you get the program up and running, you're going to get the option to start a new project. So project manager comes up, we're going to say new project, and we're going to call this one Star Temp for this particular project here. That's going to whiz away, and it's going to pop up with the desktop here, which is going to look a little bit confusing if you've not seen it before. There we go. So there's lots and lots to get involved in here, lots of tutorials, so don't be put off initially by how complex this is, but you can do a lot with this software. So we're going to come down to the right hand side of the screen here and just select the cog, which is the settings, and it should default to the default time number of 24 on here, and we're going to export it just to an HD. You can click on here and change it to 4K if you want to, but just for this demonstration we're just going to leave it at the basic settings. So at the bottom here it gives you your options, so we're going to come over to the edit tab, make sure that is selected, click on the media port on the top left, and we get rid of the effects on here. Now what we need to do is basically drag in the folders of the time-lapse images that we've created. So if we come back over to the shots that we've done, the first one we'll do is the star trail time-lapse. So we're going to pick that up and literally just drag it back. I'm just going to move this off of my screen. So we're going to drag that time-lapse folder into the media pool, and then from there we're going to drag that down onto the timeline. And that is pretty much as simple as it is. As you'll see now, as I move through the clip, it's actually rendering that out for us. Now obviously it's got black clipping on here. We come up with the clip selected, and we can come up to the zoom and then just trim that in, and then you can move it up and down with the X and Y tabs as well as you see fit. So what I'm also going to do on here is just add through the raw JPEG file. So these were the JPEGs that we also created, so, and I'm going to just drag that onto the timeline also, like so. I'm going to select that, and once again I'm just going to zoom in. It's actually done it for me on this one, so it's not a problem. And as we look through there, you can see we're getting movement on there. So DaVinci Resolve is so clever that it's actually taken the folder and converted it into the video clip itself. So without going too much into this, there's a lot you can do with this this program. But if we come over to the Deliver tab, and if I just show you quickly in the Color tab here, we can adjust all the colours. With DaVinci Resolve you've got the option to change all the audio as well, so stuff for another day. In the Deliver tab, as I say, we're going to come up here, and this is basically how we're going to render this file out. So we're going to come up to the Browse, and once again just going to go up to Desktop, Night Shots, and I'm just going to leave it in this directory, and I'm going to call it Star Video. I'm going to click Save, and we're going to come down to the export video format and just select MP4, the resolution 24, which is the same as what we've got on the last one. And once we're happy with that, we're going to, as you can see by the grey bar here, it is selecting both clips. So we're going to add to render queue, and then we're going to do the start render job. As when we hit the add render queue, it adds the job up here, and then when we hit start render, that's going to go off, and that's going to basically render that video clip out for us. So while that whizzes away, I'll bring back the other video, and as you can see here, it has created this star video MP4 file, and that's where our MP4 is going to be rendered out. So that's just working through the second part. As I say, DaVinci Resolve is a very complicated package, but it's free. You get a lot of features out of it, and it's definitely worth investing in if you've got the time to do it. Now, there are also other packages out there which you can use, for doing this. So that's just coming towards the end of the render. So if we pop back over to the file now, we should be able to play the time lapse that we've created. So that's done, and we've now got star video on here. So if I click this, and it's just appeared on the other window, so bear with me. And we drag that back into here, and I'll just maximise it and hit play. So you can see here, this was the time lapse one that we've done, which is quite a cool effect. So that's the 310 shots that we created in that last process in StarStacks, and then this is the actual time lapse video of the stars. So it's basically added all 310 shots into a video clip for us to give us that time lapse effect. And as you can see, quite cool and very simple to do. So that's DaVinci Resolve, so worth having a play around if you want to create these. Lots of options on there, plenty of tutorials out there on YouTube and the internet if you're interested in learning a bit more about it. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Sort of, it's gone a little bit and I've compressed quite a lot into it, but hopefully by seeing what tools are available there, you can download them and basically have a little play around with them and get some quite good effects on there. So it's really a bit of a license to learn, really, more than a full guided tutorial on this. So I hope you found it useful. If you've got any issues or any problems or any comments, then put them down below and I'll come back to you and try and answer them for you. Otherwise, I'm always grateful for the support, so hit the subscribe button and hit the like button if you've found this video useful on there. And as I say, that's pretty much it for this tutorial, so I'll catch you up in the next one. So thanks for watching.